Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Newark Municipal Council's public meeting. Please rise for the singing of the national anthem and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Slide.
Hey, John, can you go and push
Come up. Madam President, in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice has been provided to the Star-Ledger, the Jersey Journal, and to the public at large establishing the date, time, and location of this meeting. May I have a roll call of those present, please?
Amador absent. Gonzalez absent. James.
Present.
Callum.
Here.
Guyver.
Present.
Osborne.
Present.
McDonough.
Here. Here.
Here.
Madam President, before we go on with the meeting, I'd like to bring up the Grand Marshal for the St. Patrick's Day Parade.
I saw them a minute ago.
They're
Where did they
coming
go? Oh.
So you're the Grand Marshal, he's the Grand Marshal this year?
I am.
Oh, you are?
I gave up chair.
Okay, you're the chair, no more chair?
No, I missed the meeting, so I didn't get to meet.
No, it's not here. Yesterday they stole it. Somebody took it home. Took it home with them. Hey. Only need one. Jeremy, microphone, here you go.
Thank you. My name is Jack Dial, and I am General Chairman of the Newark St. Patrick's Day Parade Committee, Incorporated. I'm a native of Corrigan Boulevard in the Vailsburg section. Thank you for affording me the opportunity to address the council. It is certainly an honor to be here, but first, if I may, a point of personal privilege. For 32 years, I served the citizens of this city in what is the finest fire department in the United States of America, the Newark Fire Department. I served in all sectors of the city, retiring in 2010 with the rank of battalion chief. My father, Deputy Chief Joe Dahl, was a line-of-duty death in 1977, and he is still missed to this day. I loved my job. I loved the people I served, and as their elected representatives, I would just like to say thank you for all you did for me and my family. I am sincerely grateful. We join you this morning to celebrate the Feast of St. Patrick and the contributions of the Irish people to this great city, our state, and indeed our nation. As you know, next Friday we will mark the 85th anniversary of the Newark St. Patrick's Day Parade. 85 years on the streets of Newark, from downtown to Valesburg and back again. The immigration of our forebears to this city played a pivotal role in making Newark, and indeed all of New Jersey, an economic and cultural powerhouse. Lo, these many years. And we march in celebration of our success in building the American experience, along with so many of our brothers and sisters who came from other lands as well. They will be represented in our line of march on Friday, the 13th. Today it is my great pleasure to introduce to you our two proud honorees, Grand Marshal Michael Byrne and Deputy Grand Marshal Eileen Hannaford. Michael is a longtime member of our committee, retiring as General Chair after 9 years at the helm. He is a political consultant and a businessman residing in Montclair. Eileen McGinley Hannaford is from Basking Ridge, New Jersey, and is founder of the Kevin Hannaford Foundation, named for her late husband lost in the attacks of 2001. She is involved in many charitable and philanthropic endeavors. We are honored to have them as our 85th anniversary Grand Marshal and Deputy Grand Marshal. Thank you. And I introduce to you Michael Byrne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for having us back again, Councilman James, Council President, through you, of course, and through all the councilmen. Thank you for having us. This is my 10th year here now, the first 9 as chairman. I'm thankful for Jack taking over the chairmanship of the parade, and to the committee, to Mr. Giblin, Assemblyman Giblin, and to the entire committee for electing the Grand Marshal this year. I want to especially thank Mr. Lewis and his predecessor, Mr. Marasco, for their support over the last 10 years. They've done a lot in the background to help us keep the parade on the street and to draw attention to it. The event is next Friday, March 13th, and we'll have a mass at 9:15 in the morning, followed by breakfast around the corner on Edison Place. We'll have a viewing stand ceremonies to which you're all invited, 12 o'clock in front of the Gateway Complex, and then you please march with us. I know Councilman James will be marching. 1 o'clock is our step off. So again, thank you all for your support. We're going to keep this tradition alive, 85 years so far, and another 85 coming up. Thank you.
Eileen Hannaford, our Deputy Grand Marshal.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having us. I was born in Livingston, New Jersey, and I lived on 9th Avenue, in 9th Street, actually, in Newark, before moving to North Caldwell. I'm an Essex County resident my whole life until after school. I am humbled and honored to be here and to be a representative of this parade, the first and finest parade in the state of New Jersey, and for which many other parades have stemmed off from. So I thank you for all your support. I hope you come out and march with us on March 13th and spread the word. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll see you all on March 13th. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Before you leave the dais, we're going to ask Councilman James to respond on behalf of the council.
We're honored today again to have this parade celebrating the great Irish heritage in the city of Newark, and we look forward to the weather cooperating. On behalf of the mayor, the council, and all the residents of Newark, we look forward to this event. God bless you.
Louis. Thank you so much for coming, and we're looking forward to another great orange, green, and white. A Sacred Heart?
Just saying, just Sacred Heart, the pen.
Putting me in my
Sacred Heart Church from the West Ward.
All right. He just wanted you to know it's from the West Ward. God bless you. Thank you so much. Mr. Clerk?
To the regular agenda, Council of the Whole to accept the reports of the boards and commissions. Roll call.
Amador,
Here. When we finish.
Gonzalez, absent. James, absent. McCollum,
Absent.
absent.
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Here.
Here.
Yes, the two council members who had stepped out.
James present.
Calum.
Before we go into the business of the day, Councilwoman McIver would like to pay tribute to one of Newark's finest. It does not mean she was a firefighter, but she was full of fire on behalf of the great city of Newark. Joanne Williams' passing was a great loss to the residents of the city. It was not just a part of her life, it was a part of her heart. So we're going to allow Councilwoman McIver to say words of tribute regarding this fallen soldier of the great city of Newark.
Thank you, Council President. I think you summed it up for me, the words that I was going to say. I just wanted to take a moment before we got into the business of today's meeting to pay tribute to Miss Joanne Williams, mother of Ivy, who works in the Office of Economic Development. We do want to send our prayers and our thoughts to her family and her loved ones. She was close to many people here in City Hall, in the city of Newark in general, and we will miss her. It is definitely a big loss for us, me personally, and my family personally, and so I wanted to take a moment to pay tribute to her, and then we'll get the announcements for the funeral arrangements that have been posted all over social media as well as throughout the city, but we'll make sure we announce it before today's meeting is over. So at this time, I would like for us to have a moment of silence for Ms. Joanne Williams.
Thank you. Any other council members wish to speak? Councilman James.
I'd like to say that Joanne was always a real person. When you talked to her, there were no games. She was committed 100% to the city of Newark. She definitely left us before her time. I will always remember the serious and fun times I spent with her, and I wish prayers to her family also. She is a great loss for the city of Newark.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, to the agenda.
Moment of silence.
Moment of silence.
Moment of silence. Amen.
Our Ordinance on public reading, public hearing, second reading and final passage. 6 PSNFA is an ordinance authorizing and approving an amended and restated financial agreement originally approved by ordinance 6 PSNFG, adopted on December 19, 2018, for a project to construct approximately 249 market rate rental units, 4,000 square feet of office space, and 6,000 square feet of retail space located on property known as 141-149, 151-153, 155, 157-159 Washington Street. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this ordinance?
Nope. Oh, I'm sorry. Is the microphone on?
No, I don't think so.
Again, my name is Jeffrey Feld. I am an Essex County resident, a local business, and an attorney located in Orange, New Jersey. I was here at the first reading, and I put various questions in writing and orally. I also submitted a letter that should be part of the record that you received on March 2nd, raising certain issues that I did not receive a response to. The first issues I've had, and yesterday I picked up a disk of various documents. I did not have an opportunity to review it. Goes back to, did you receive a written net benefit fiscal impact statement, and what is the percentage of revenues you're getting this? Because this is a market rate deal. I don't know the answers to that. But I raised questions because last Tuesday, when the governor gave his budget address, the clock's not moving. I don't know.
Right, that's another thing. The clock's not moving.
I just want to say.
When I'm up there, the clock moves.
All right.
Excuse me, who is that?
My name is Dion.
Mr. Mitchell?
All right. It's
It is
moving
not
now.
your turn to speak yet.
As to my written questions, under your rules are attached to the agenda. I believe I should have received a written response to my questions that were raised, written questions that were raised on February 11th. I did not receive them. Also, on Monday, there was an advertisement and talking about the audit that you just received for calendar year 2018. Yesterday, I want to commend the clerk's office because they did find out and advise me that it was posted on the finance department's record, but everyone needs to look at the posted audit. One, there's 21 findings. But two, is the question of the extent of your disclosures about long-term tax exemptions. One of the things I've been arguing about is that Newark is supposed to disclose how many long-term tax exemptions there are and what the benefits or losses or revenues are to the city. That is not in there. In addition, there's an issue that's been arising in litigation, the county's admitted, regarding the payment of 5% of the long-term revenues to the county. East Orange and Orange have admitted that they have not made the payments. The county has said that only 3 municipalities in the counties have made those payments. Newark was not included. And that's going to be part of litigation that I'm not warning, but you have an obligation to ensure that a contractual and statutory obligation is met. Newark has not made its payments to the county. And under state law, if a municipality does not make a payment 2 years in a row to a county, the state has to take over the municipality. I've warned you about that. I talked about the Oprah. Last night at 9:53, I received a response from the clerk's office advising me that documents I requested on February 11th, one of the questions or documents I requested was finally referred to the finance department. This goes back to about the payments. Also, I attached in my letter a copy of proposed legislation. I've had litigation with you about Newark 1 regarding the validity of a New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency long-term tax exemption. The case was dismissed for lack of standing. However, I attached to my submission to you some proposed legislation which states specifically that a taxpayer in the county has the right to attack or challenge the assessment or long-term tax exemption that's issued within the county. So there's a question of whether Newark hold the right law to the courts. And I just want to advise everyone that today a consent order was submitted to the court extending a briefing schedule in Newark 2. But I urge you, as over your oversight duties to understand the obligations to disclosure regarding long-term tax exemptions.
Thank you, Mr. Fowles. Next speaker.
Donna Jackson, 128 Smith Street, and ditto to everything the previous speaker said. You can put that down again as my remarks, plus this. Has there been a traffic and parking study done in this area for where this is going on? And the reason I ask that is because across the city right now, the traffic is out of control. And there's so many proposals in the downtown area and all of the corridors below Bergen Street that that's already a point of contention. I know the city is asking developers not to put 2 parking spaces per unit, as in the project on Clay and 21, the project on South Orange Avenue and Prince and Broome, and other projects, because you want the people to walk in the community. Now, that would be good once we get to the safe community that y'all want us to have and we all would like to have, but I'm not walking from, just not doing it. It's not safe now. So the traffic study, has that been done for the area? Because we already are having a problem accommodating when the students come in at night. They're still causing problems over on James Street, but now it's up into the Society Hill area. Sometimes they park in spaces that they're not supposed to. So what if we looked at with this property that we're going to give tax abatement to, because it's going to happen, but what are we doing about traffic and parking? And then when this building comes back and then they ask for parking permits downtown in that area on certain streets, I got you, but they're going to ask. And, you know, depending on how nice the group comes in and if they bring lunch or don't bring lunch, you know, sometimes we can sway some things that we want in our way. Maybe they'll parking permit one side of the block and not the other, but that still will cause a problem for other folks. So I just want to know if we've looked into those issues as well with this ordinance.
Thank you.
Any other speakers?
No one else appearing. Corp Counsel. Okay.
I think the word is yes. Actually, I'm going to deviate from.
No, you must speak to the ordinance. This is not the hearing of citizens, so your comments must be about the ordinance itself.
Okay, clean.
We'll hear from you later.
No, clean.
To Ms. Jackson's
You will.
question, the answer is yes. I was waiting for everyone to finish, but the answer is yes. Sure. Mr. Clerk,
No other speakers. Motion to close the public hearing and adopt. Council of the whole?
roll call.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
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 Osborne,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
President Trump.
Yes.
6BSNFB is an ordinance authorizing an option to renew a lease agreement between Essex Property Management Group, LLC as landlord, and the City of Newark Department of Health and Community Wellness as tenant for premises commonly known as 846-850 South Orange Avenue for $10,800 annually for the purpose of embedding the West Ward Victims Outreach Services Program within the West Ward. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this ordinance?
No one.
Good afternoon, Donna Jackson, 128 Smith Street. Doing some fantastic work out of that building, don't have a problem, but I just want to know, when is the last time we inspected it? And are we sure that there's no leaking? I mean, we can do agreements, I don't have a problem, but what is the condition of the office? You know, we got a lot of computers in there, it looks good, but is there any leaks in there? Is the bathroom up to par, et cetera? I don't know, because I haven't been in there lately. But I just want to make sure that even though we're going into this agreement, that the facility is, you know, up to par with the rent that we're paying, and that it's good enough for the community to come into.
Good question. Councilman McCollum.
Well, Ms. Jackson, I was in there the other day, and it looks great in there.
Okay,
And I had an office in there a couple years ago.
Right.
And they did a lot of work at that time,
okay.
and so it's up to speed.
Right, this was concerned because, you know, sometimes they do the nice-looking work and everything is new and freshly painted, and then a year or two in, it's looking like the ceiling here. So I'm just concerned. Okay.
So, Ms. Jackson, just a word of humor. It's a public building. By all means, go in and inspect it and come back and tell us what your impression of it is.
Okay.
We'd love
Absolutely.
to hear from you.
I would do that. Okay.
All right.
No problem.
Hi. I wasn't even here to speak with regard to any of this. I wanted to talk about something else. But now that I'm here, because I find that in the city of Newark, there are a lot of slumlords that are getting away with a lot of stuff that you guys...
I hate to say this. I am so sorry.
I'm about to hit the ordinance.
Are you going to get to?
I'm about to hit the ordinance.
Okay.
Let me set it up.
All right.
Let me set up my opening statement.
Absolutely.
I don't know why you always... Hold on. Stop the clock. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of you always trying to stop me from speaking. I don't know what your fear is about me, but I'm tired of it. Let me open my opening statement, and then I'll get to the ordinance so I can ask my question.
Please proceed.
Now, with regard to counsel, with regard to my argument is who has been, I would like to see the statement or the statement that says that this property has been inspected. Do you have that statement? Can anybody produce that statement? Because there's one property that's down the street from me that I would like to see who has inspected it, because I'm finding a lot of violations in that statement. That's this. And it relates to this ordinance, because I guess the same thing is happening around the city. I didn't even come here to speak about this. I wanted to talk about women. Wait. It's Women's Month. I wanted to talk about, I didn't say that right.
No, you didn't.
I wanted to talk about how women have been productive in the state of New Jersey and in Newark, New Jersey. Let me change that statement. But since you want me to start reading these documents, I'll read them.
Councilman McCallum is going to respond to your question.
My question is, who has been inspecting these properties? And I would like a document that says when they were inspected, and I want to see what they inspected and how, what the progress has been done with these properties. Because there's one right down the street from me that needs to be inspected immediately. Am I clear? Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Miss Council Ward Woman, I'm sorry, Councilwoman, would you please, it's a hotel. They say it's a hotel, but they're charging people $1,000 a month for a room. And one young lady told me that they're trying to evict her. I'm going to talk about that later. They're trying to evict her for $1,000 a month for a hotel room, and she doesn't have a working stove? I would like for that person who owns that building, and I would like to speak to that person personally here, and I would like for you to go to, I think it's Title 18. 1 second.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
But
And any other,
that slumlord needs to be handled.
Thank you.
any other speakers? No one else appearing, Mr. Clerk.
No one else appearing. Motion by Councilman McCallum, second by Councilman Ramos, to close the public hearing and adopt.
Roll call, please.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
McCallum,
Yes.
Guyver,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
McDonough,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
President Trump.
Yes. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
6PSNFC is an ordinance granting a 30-year tax abatement to Center City Apartment Associates Urban Renewal LLC for a project to rehabilitate 13 affordable housing buildings commonly referred to as Pueblo City, Center City 3, and Johnson Apartments, consisting of approximately 214 affordable housing units located at 12-14 Pennsylvania Avenue, 17-19 Pennsylvania Avenue, 15 Thomas Street, 23 and 25 and 27-39 Johnson Avenue, 20-30 and 32-34, 46-54, and 60-74 Astor Street. 19-33 Mulberry Street, and 83-85 Brunswick Street. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this ordinance?
Again, my name is Jeffrey Feld, an Essex County resident and an Orange businessman and attorney. I'm not going to belate the point. I just incorporate all my other generic comments about long-term tax exemptions as part of the record, that you have the fiscal impact study and you understand the amount of revenues that are being deprived, maybe to the school board. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure that, my name is Dan McCutcheon. I just want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing, that 19-1289? Are we talking about that? 691 Elizabeth Avenue, Suite 2, are we talking about that one? Whoa!
Yes, Mr. McCutcheon.
And the landlord has not been addressed about this? That is the worst drug area in the city. Well, second. We're not going to talk about Clinton Avenue. But that is the worst drug area in the city. I have no clue why the city of Newark has not acknowledged that Brunswick Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue. Everybody from Newark, well, I'm from Newark. Everybody from Newark know, like, hold up. If you want to go get some dope, if you want to go get some coke, if you want to go get whatever you want, that's where you go. And I'm trying to figure out, I'm talking to the mayor. Actually, I'm not even talking to y'all. I'm talking to the mayor right now. Why has that not been stopped? We all know where it is. And what's ironic is that it's right across the street from me. Everybody know where that is. Brunswick Avenue and I forget let me read this again. But the landlords who own those buildings are not trying to stop that. Am I speaking about the right thing?
He's just.
Oh, shucks. Runyon. In any event, Astor, yeah, you know what? I got it in my head now. Astor, the one that's coming down Clinton Avenue off Elizabeth Avenue, everybody know where to go get it. And I'm trying to figure out, Mayor, why has that not been a place where you just have a police station, a mini police station there? So hold up, man, y'all wildin'. Y'all wildin'. And it's right across the street from me. You know, I move around the city like I move. Ain't no problem for me to move around the city. I ain't got no problem, but people that don't know the city, like, hold up, they can get caught up in something. I ain't worried about getting caught up in nothing. Because then things happen in reverse. But yeah, now since you want me to start reading these things, I came here for I wanted to talk about how women have been very productive in the city of Newark. I didn't come here to talk about this. I came here about Women's Month. And in this month, March, I wanted to talk about how women, especially black women, how black women have progressed.
You'll have a chance to speak again under the hearing of citizens. You'll have another chance to speak.
No, I'm gonna talk about something else. But look, it's crazy.
Thank you.
Handle that area, Mayor.
Is there another speaker? Ms. Jackson.
Down to Jackson, 128 Smith Street. So 30-year, 30-year tax abatement. I have a couple of requests prior to it being issued.
Yeah.
Because they're talking about doing renovations now. Some of the renovations have started. But what we all know is once they start the renovations, they're not the caliber and quality that we would like for them to be. So I don't know what wiggle room you guys have in tax abatement, but my suggestion is that we issue an initial 5-year tax abatement on this property, and go back and do continual inspections even now. Because a lot of times what happens when they're doing these inspections, I know in some buildings right now in Newark, the electrical fire systems are out. They're not even working in too many buildings in this city. Because when they have to disconnect one thing, it disconnects something else, and they upgrading the electrical, and they're not letting the residents be aware, so if emergency happens, we're in trouble. Secondly, I don't know how much facade they're taking down in some of these older buildings. I don't know what the renovation in the bathrooms look like, if we're just covering it over, or are we actually doing new tubs, new shower heads, and they're like, so I'm just asking that you guys, before you give this 30-year tax, because these are some of the worst buildings in this city, next to the Newark Housing Authority, some of the worst. And before we give these owners, and I know most of them are new owners, this tax abatement, let's look at how they're fixing the buildings. And then the last thing I'd like you to look at is the treatment of the current tenants and residents that live in these houses. Because what they're doing across this city is, as they're doing renovations, they're putting people out. They're taking people to court saying they didn't pay rent for the last 5 years, and unfortunately, you know what? I keep my rent receipts for 2 years. At the third year, I'm like, you know what? Let me put the 2017 out, and I'll have 18, 19, and now 20. And people, they are taking people to court for that. These new companies coming in, these management companies, they're taking the time to write it up. And of course, you know, many of our folks in these buildings now that have been there 20, 30 years, they're elders. They don't have it. So now they get caught up in the quandary of, I did pay my rent in 2017, and they actually have the audacity to put that on the eviction notice. That is 2 years, it's 3 years, it's a year ago. So as you guys are, you know, these new owners, they do nothing but flip it from one cousin to the other cousin. But as you're giving these folks these tax abatements, please look at that. Please go talk to those residents and see how they're being treated by these new owners. Because not only is this happening in the buildings, this is also happening in private homes across the city. So if we could just look at these new owners who are asking you guys for tax abatements, not only in homes, but they're also asking for them in buildings, please make sure that they're not putting everybody in the street first.
Councilman Amador.
Thank you, Madam President. At a time when Newark land becomes very attractive to the outside investors, we should all be concerned with the possibility of granting tax abatements to folks. In a case like this, I don't have any reservations about granting a 30-year tax abatement to someone who wants to change the living conditions of probably the worst area in the city of Newark. And you're absolutely right. 13 affordable housing buildings are going to be involved, together with 214 apartments for affordable housing, which, when completed, will change drastically the living conditions of the people who live in that area. So I have no reservations whatsoever about supporting this ordinance. Going back to a point that was made by Mr. McCutcheon before, yes, you're absolutely right. A mini precinct should be built around that area. And this council has taken the position approximately 6 months ago to create a mini precinct in the Pennsylvania Avenue area. Absolutely. And it's still being considered. So eventually, I hope that the administration follows the advice of this council and a mini precinct is built in that area, because right now it is considered to be no man's land. It's between the South District and the East District. And basically, people in that area are crying for help. But in as far as giving a tax abatement on this issue, I have absolutely no reservations whatsoever, because it's all for affordable housing. It's going to, we hope, change the living conditions of the folks who live and work in that area considerably.
Thank you so much, Councilman. And I just want to add, ditto, ditto, ditto. I drive Pennsylvania 5 days out of 7, and I am excited about what is going to take place for the people who will be living in those buildings. Mr. Clerk?
Well, Madam President, the alternative is to keep it the way it is.
No. No.
Duh.
Absolutely not. Mr. Clerk? No other speakers.
No other speakers. Motion by Councilman James, second by Councilman Osborne to close
Are
the
you
public hearing and
speaking
adopt.
to this ordinance? Oh, I did not know that.
Good afternoon, George Tillman, 165 Newton Street, Newark, New Jersey. You're absolutely right, Councilman Amador. There should not be any reason to not want to give a tax abatement. The issue, and I wasn't able to get all the documentation that I requested in my Oprah request, so that's why I did not speak. We have to be very careful to make sure that these same companies are we're getting something back in return when they give these tax abatements. Because there is an obligation to hire Newark residents. There is an obligation to hire local contractors. There is an obligation to include Newarkers in this process. And if this company has not shown this previously in the past, there is a reason why this tax abatement should not go forth. So last time I spoke, I asked about was this company or these companies in good standing. The only way to determine that is to have the proper paperwork to show if these companies that have given these tax abatements have been in compliance. If they're utilizing the same contractors, every tax abated project that they're utilizing, they're not in compliance because they should be losing local contractors as a part of that tax abatement. So because I don't have that information right now, and that information was not available, I really was not going to speak on it, but since you said there's no reservation, but there should be a reservation. The reservation should be that giving any company that has already previously had tax abatement, the citizens should be given a worksheet to show that they were in compliance so we don't have any reservations, just like you don't have any reservations. Thank you.
Thank you. I do believe no one else appearing, Mr. Clerk. Fortunately, we did not complete the count.
Motion to close the public hearing and adopt. Councilman James, second by Councilman Osborne.
Roll call.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
McCallum,
Yes.
Diver,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
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 Yes. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
6 PSNFD is an ordinance amending Title 12 flood damage prevention to promote the public health, safety, and general welfare of residents and businesses in the city of Newark as required in order to remain in compliance with the current National Flood Insurance Program regulations. We have a request to amend this item on the floor. Council of the whole to amend.
Roll call to amend.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
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 The amendments are in your package. Council of the whole to adopt as amended.
Roll call to adopt as amended. Councilman, do you still want to sponsor? Councilman Osborne? Yesterday, you said.
I'm good, I will.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
McCallum,
Yes.
Diver,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
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 Yes. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
6 PSNFE is an ordinance authorizing the following for the Port Corridor Improvement Project. The City of Newark authorizes the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey to the right to acquire by condemnation parcels A1 through A7. Upon acquisition and completion of construction by the Port Authority for the Port Street Corridor, the city is authorized to accept parcels A1 through A7, and the city is authorized to execute the attached license agreement with the utility agreement. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this ordinance?
It's being deferred.
This is being deferred.
Yeah, defer.
This is being deferred.
Deferring this? I'm sorry.
Sorry, Ms. Jackson, it's being deferred.
I'm ignoring my own note. Council of the whole to defer to the special of the 11th,
Yes.
the 10th. Council of the whole to defer to the special of March 10th.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
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 Resolutions, we'll come back to 7R, to 6 PSNFD. I have a statement that needs to be made.
I didn't hear you, Mr. Clark.
I said, we will come back to 6 PSNFD. There is a statement that needs to be made, but I need a little clarification before we go forward with that. Resolution 7R1A is ratifying authorizing resolution for Department of Administration for a temporary emergency appropriation for the lead hazard reduction and healthy homes supplement grant. B is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Administration for a temporary emergency appropriation for the 2020 HIV Emergency Relief Project Grant.
It's sponsored by Councilman Quintana.
Crump is sponsored, second by Councilman Quintana.
Yes.
7R1C is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Administration for a temporary emergency appropriation for street resurfacing in various streets. 1D is a ratifying authorizing resolution for the Department of Administration for a temporary emergency appropriation to provide funds for the pensions until the adoption of the 2020 operating budget for the city of Newark. Through 7R1D, Council of the whole to adopt.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
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 Seven R1E is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Administration rescinding Resolution 7R1N adopted on September 5th, 2019, to rescind the contract to provide catering nutritional lunches for the senior nutrition program. 7R1F is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Administration for a bid contract to provide automotive oils, transmissions oil, and related services. 1G is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Administration for a bid contract to purchase reflectorized sheeting for street signs. 1H is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Administration for a bid contract to purchase automotive cleaners and fluids. Through 7R1H, Council of the whole to adopt.
Roll call, please.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
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 Seven R2A is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Economic and Housing Development for private sale to redevelop property to provide parking for tenants of an adjacent property. 2B is an authorizing resolution for the Department of Economic and Housing Development for private sale and redevelopment to develop the properties to build 3 2 and 2-family homes. Councilman James wishes to move, second by Councilman Osborne. Through 7R2B, A with Council of the
Roll call,
whole,
Mr. Clerk.
B with sponsors. Roll call.
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
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 Yes. Next item.
703A is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Engineering designating a bus stop. Councilwoman McGyver, second by Council President Crump. 3B is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Engineering designating a bus stop, moved by Councilman James, second by Councilwoman McGyver. 3C is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Engineering designating a bus stop, moved by Councilwoman MacGyver, second by Councilman Osborne, through 7R3C.
Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
McCallum,
Yes.
MacGyver,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Quintana,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
President Crump.
Yes.
Seven R4A is a authorizing ratifying a resolution for the Department of Finance establishing the petty cash funds. Council of the Whole.
Roll call.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
McCallum,
Yes.
MacGyver,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Yes.
Madam President, I just need to go back to page 5, 7R, 6PS and FD. It's an ordinance which was amended today on second reading and must be, therefore be re-advertised for a public hearing that will take place on March the 18th at the next public council meeting, beginning at 6:30 p.m.
Yes, sir. Roll call.
7R5A is a ratifying authorizing resolution for an application and acceptance of grant funds for the Lead Hazard and Healthy Homes Reduction Program. 5B is a ratifying authorizing resolution for a contract with subrecipient to provide housing assistance and supportive services to persons with HIV/AIDS within the Newark eligible metropolitan area. 5B is for Integrity House. 5C is the Essex Access Family Services, Inc. 5D is the Apostles House. 5E is the Bridges Outreach, Inc. 5F is the Integrity Inc. And the 5G is the St. James Social Services Corporation, which is moved by Council President Crump, second by Councilwoman MacGyver. And the 5H is the Urban League of Essex County through 7R5H, Council of the Whole, with the exception of G, which has sponsors.
Roll call, please.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
McCallum,
Yes.
MacGyver,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Quintana,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Yes.
7R6A is a ratifying authorizing resolution for the Department of Law for a professional services contract to provide legal services concerning litigation defense matters. 6B is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Law for settlement of civil litigation. Through 7R6B, Council of the Whole to adopt.
Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
McCallum,
Yes.
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 7R7A is a ratifying authorizing resolution for the Office of Mayor for the operation of the Newark Community Solutions and the Newark Youth Court within the Newark Municipal Court. Council of the Whole to adopt.
Roll call, please.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
McCallum,
Yes.
MacGyver,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Yes.
7R8A are various expressions of profound sorrow and regret. 8B are various recognizing and commending resolutions. Through 7R8B, Council of the Whole to adopt.
Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
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 7R12A is a authorizing resolution for the water sewer utilities for a professional services contract to provide sewer financial planning and rates and a rate study. We need to amend this resolution to correct the date from 2019 to the 2020 budget. Council of the Whole to amend.
Roll call to amend.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
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 This vote will amend the year 2019 to the year 2020 in all places in this resolution, including the title. Council of the Whole to adopt as amended.
Roll call to, as amended.
Yes.
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 to the
Madam,
starter.
Madam President,
Yes, Council.
I would just ask through your chair and the clerk that the Water Department at some point schedule this firm to come in to talk a little bit about their scope of work and what kind of things are they going to be looking at as part of this rate study.
I do believe, Mr. Clerk, that has been requested, the BA, on Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday?
No, it's the first time that this was requested for them to appear before us, so I didn't make that motion yesterday, so somebody else did, I apologize.
When you mentioned it yesterday, I thought I said, how about Tuesday?
No, I didn't mention it yesterday. I just mentioned it today.
Whenever it was mentioned.
Okay. Yeah, whenever there's an opportunity. I mean, this is going to be ongoing, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be Tuesdays, whenever the clerk and your chair decides.
Absolutely. Next item.
On
We'll
the added
figure that
starter
out.
page. 7R1I is a ratifying authorizing resolution for the Department of Administration with application and acceptance of grant funds for the 2020 Lead for Cities and Communities Grant Program. Council of the Whole to adopt.
Roll call.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent, James,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
7R2C is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Economic and Housing Development for the private sale and redevelopment to rehabilitate the residential properties for resale in a pilot Section 8 home ownership program administered in partnership with the Newark Housing Authority. Council of the Whole to adopt.
Madam
Roll call
President,
to adopt.
Madam President,
I'm sorry, Council.
this wasn't brought up yesterday, so I don't know if Deputy Mayor Ladd or someone can speak a little bit about this program, and how were these properties identified, and what's the role and responsibility of the Invest Newark in this process?
Director?
Good afternoon, Allison Ladd, Director, Economic and Housing Development. The matter before you is a sale of properties to Invest Newark. Invest Newark will serve as project manager for these sites in partnership with the Housing Authority. The goal is to have these sites available as home ownership opportunities for families who are currently on Section 8. And as you may know, the federal government allows for Section 8 home ownership activities to occur by them able to use their voucher for mortgage payments instead of rent payments. And so this is a very creative idea by Invest Newark to be able to partner with the city, and the city will continue to work in compliance with Invest Newark.
Madam President, just a quick
Any other-
follow-up. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
So the renovations are going to be financed how?
Oh, sorry, good afternoon. Yes, the renovations will be financed, actually, hold on one moment. Thank you for indulging me. I apologize. The funding will be provided for renovations from Invest Newark, but there will also be partnerships with NACA for some of the funding that's needed.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, just a quick question. Who's going to manage this, Newark Housing Authority or Invest Newark?
So regarding the management of the renovation and sale, it'll be Invest Newark. The selection of the individuals will be a joint process with the Housing Authority.
In terms of who picked these particular properties, who picked these? Invest Newark, the city?
The city EHD in concert with Invest Newark chose the selected projects.
So $338,000 is what they're paying us for these properties?
No, ma'am, the actual price is $1 for property. The $338 is actually the assessed value.
So we're getting $3?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The assistance really, and I think this is an important piece to share with all, is that The assistance that the city is providing is really to help residents purchase housing in the city of Newark and to bring home ownership into our city in ways in which are unique. I think that this is a great program that I've seen in other cities, and I think that it's something that would really be great for the city of Newark.
Madam President, one quick
yes.
question. Is there a restriction, a deed restriction, which doesn't allow them to purpose this property outside of what you just stated?
Yes, there will be. Understood the question, Madam President and council members. So this is, again, it's a pilot program. It's unique. It's something in which is great for the city to provide home ownership. The goal, though, is for home ownership for residents, not for sale to investors. The goal is to have it be for residents in Newark.
Could you repeat that last sentence?
The goal is for the residents and low-income residents who are currently being assisted through the Section 8 program to be able to own their own home here in the city of Newark. And I think that it's a great pilot program that is being brought forward to you.
And not for?
And not for investors, ma'am.
Thank you.
Madam President, so the person that buys this property, right, what kind of restrictions do they have?
They would be under the same restrictions as it relates to their Section 8 program, and so they would be low-income families that are currently on Section 8. They would not be able to sell or transfer for the property either. It would have to be primary residence.
Is it in perpetuity, or is it a certain number of years, and then after that they have the ability to sell it? Is there a repayment penalty if they were to sell the property at some point? Shh.
Okay. Sure. Madam President, Councilmember Ramos, thank you for the question. So as it relates to the restrictions, and I can understand the question, because the goal is for the residents that are currently receiving Section 8 vouchers, the purpose of it really is to help them be able to own in Newark. The sense of us being able to provide that assistance is partly why the price is the price and how we'll be investing in the renovations. As it relates to the person who will be purchasing it, they'll be obligated via the Section 8 home ownership program to maintain their ownership of that property. In addition, we will have the ability to restrict the sale or transfer of any property beyond what the intended purpose is.
I would suggest, Madam President, since this is probably the first of what I assume to be many properties that could be transferred over, that you give us a detailed description of the program, all the rules and regulations. How do people, find out about the program? How do they apply to see if they're eligible? That's all stuff that I'm sure the council members would appreciate, especially if you're looking to transfer more properties in the future to invest in Newark for this purpose.
Understood.
I just have one last question. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to, get the information. I'm sorry, Councilman.
I just have a question. Who's going to be responsible for the repairs?
The Invest Newark will manage the rehabilitation of the repairs.
You'll renovate the properties?
And we'll be working with 3 local developers.
3 local companies.
Companies.
Local. Monica.
Thank you. I'm
Councilwoman.
sorry again, Councilman McCollum. In terms of the 3 families that are going to be selected from this, who's responsible for selecting them? Newark Housing Authority? How will they be selected?
Thank you very much, again, the question. So the Newark Housing Authority will be handling the lottery to select the families that will be able to be eligible for purchase of the property. I think it's important also to know that Section 8 home ownership programs, again, that have been successful nationally, they require a lot of our support in also being able to ensure the families will be successful. So understanding what housing authorities are doing nationally, and I expect to be here in Newark, they're also providing technical assistance, financial advisory services, ways to ensure that they have success in understanding the home ownership aspect, because for all of us, including myself, when you purchase a house, it's a different approach to what your obligations are than when you're renting. So we want to make sure that the families are successful.
How will they be selected?
Shh, shh, shh. Excuse me, Mr. McCutcheon. Mr. McCutcheon.
So basically, there'll be a special lottery hosted by Newark Housing
The
Authority.
Housing Authority, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I just want to echo, I mean, which it sounds like a great program. I don't think anybody's asking, because I, hear little things. We're not asking because we're against the project or this pilot. I think it's amazing. I think it sounds good. However, I'm going to echo the comments from Councilman Ramos in regards to getting a write-up with full details about it, and the transparency. Once again, it's always about transparency and how do people know about this and how do they apply for it, and so forth. So, thank you.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Council as a whole.
Council as a whole.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
Callum,
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Quintana,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Yes. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
7R4B is a ratifying authorizing resolution for the Department of Finance for professional services contract to provide financial advisory services.
Madam President.
Roll call.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman, that's what I thought you said.
at yesterday's meeting, I had requested from the administrator a summary of the process that was followed to identify this firm, and if you read the backup documentation and the summary, there are 3 companies that at some point total will be presented to us to provide financial services. So I just want him to officially say on the record the process that was followed, because I think there was a little confusion yesterday, because it was stated that at some point there was an RFQ, RFP, that there was a technical issue with that RFP that was issued. The administration decided to basically not follow through on the RFP and RFQ because there was a technical flaw or a technical problem, and instead we have one of 3 companies on the agenda today that are being recommended utilizing an evaluation process that resulted in a non-fair and open contract for this particular company. So if my assessment is wrong, I just want you to correct me, Mr. B.A.
Eric Pennington, Business Administrator. Your assessment is not incorrect.
Any other questions?
I'm not prepared to provide a written.
When will we see the other 2 recommendations?
We're going through the process. We're shooting for. For Tuesday. For Tuesday.
And we'll have an opportunity to meet the other 2 firms and representatives?
Do we expect? Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Roll call, Council of the whole.
Roll call.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Abstain.
Callum,
Yes.
Diver,
Abstain.
Osborne,
Yes.
Quintana,
Abstain.
Ramos,
Abstain.
President Trump.
Abstain.
Bills to adopt. 7R8C is a authorizing resolution for the Office of Municipal Council City Clerk declaring an intent in supporting the March 6, 2020 through March 13, 2020 as the Irish Heritage Week in Newark, and supporting the St. Patrick's Day Parade Friday, March 13th at 2020. This is Councilman James' motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Osborne,
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. President, the next three resolutions are for a hold harmless and indemnification agreements for the senior luncheon. 7R 8D is the senior luncheon at the Seth Boyden Elderly. 8E is the Georgia King Village, and 8F is for Villa Victoria through 7R 8F. It's Council of the Whole to adopt.
Roll call, please.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
Callen,
Yes.
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 12B is a authorizing resolution for the water sewer utilities for professional services contract for thermal imagery data collection and engineering analysis project to identify, investigate, and prioritize maintenance and rehabilitation improvements along the Pequannock Aqueduct.
Any comments, questions? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Council of the Whole.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
Yes. Quintana,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
President Trump.
Yes.
7R12C is an authorizing resolution for the water sewer utilities for professional services contract to provide combined sewer overflow general permit support. Council of the Whole.
Council as a whole.
Roll call.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
Callen,
Yes.
Yes. Osborne,
Yes.
Quintana,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
President Trump.
Yes.
Back to the regular agenda. We are on page 25, Communications. 8A is an ordinance amending Section 23:5-14E, parking by permit only. This would add 4-hour parking for visitors and businesses on Thomas Street, both sides between Mulberry Street and Harmon Street. Councilman Amador wishes to move. Second. We have,
Move on first.
this is a request to advance and adopt on first as 6FA.
Absolutely. Councilman Quintana, second the motion.
Roll call to advance
call,
and adopt
please.
on first, 6FA.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
Callen,
Yes.
Diver,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Quintana,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
President Trump.
Yes.
8B is an ordinance amending Section 23:5-1, parking prohibited at all times. This would prohibit parking at all times for a portion of the westerly side of Mount Prospect Avenue between Abington Avenue East and Berkeley Avenue. Councilman Ramos wishes to advance and adopt on first.
Yes, sir.
Have a second?
Is there a second? Roll call to advance
FD.
and adopt.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
Callen,
Yes.
Diver,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Quintana,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Yes.
Madam President,
Yes,
just
Councilman.
want to send a note thanking the Engineering Department and the Fire Division for their assistance in this matter. This is to install fire lane in front of our largest senior building, Wesley Towers, which is located at 444 Mount Prospect. So this request through your chair and the clerk that we send correspondence to Director Scott and Director Ambrose.
Okay. So ordered. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
8C is an ordinance amending Section 23:5-1, parking by permit only. This would replace Cortlandt Street with Cortlandt Place in the ordinance. Council of the Whole?
Is there a second?
Council of the Whole?
I have Councilman Amador as the sponsor.
I'll second.
Amador? Ramos? Roll call.
I'll second.
Ramos.
Oh, he did?
You could second.
Councilman Ramos.
You could just at large. In the absence of a second.
Yes.
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 Osborne,
Yes.
Quintana,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Yes.
Vote was simply to advance to first reading. 8D is an ordinance amending Title 20, Offense Miscellaneous, Chapter 3, Noise Control. This would amend sections concerning the hours of prohibited acts and increasing the penalties. Councilwoman MacGyver wishes to move, second by Council President Crump, to advance and adopt on first.
Amen. Roll call. Sorry.
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Madam President, the ordinance adopted on first reading today will be advertised in accordance with law, and a public hearing will be held at the council meeting, the public council meeting of March 18th, beginning at 6:30 p.m. here in the council chambers. 8E is an ordinance amending Title 10, Finance and Taxation. This is add a new section 10:22-3B, 10:22-4C, and 10:22-5, imposing a mass transit access parking tax.
It's an amendment.
Yeah, there's an amendment.
Yeah.
This roll call will be on the document that you were given just here in the meeting as it amends the original legislation.
Amendment.
Mr. Beer, I thought this,
Yes, Council President, Eric Pennington, Business Administrator. The amendment is for two purposes. One, you got it? Corporation Counsel will explain better than I.
thank you.
Good afternoon, Kenyatta Stewart, City of Newark Corporation Counsel. So essentially what we're doing is we want to make sure that the details of the percentage is correct. We realize that yesterday's document did not have the proper percentage. The other part is that we want to make sure that it reflected what the state statute says.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman.
if I could just ask Corp Counsel, it seems like a lot of the language that was cut out was regarding, reductions or exemptions that residents are eligible for. Is that still good? Is still part of the plan?
So it's, the word is may. The way it was originally wrote, it was written as if it was a must, so they just have to apply. That's all the difference is. The other part that we wanted to make sure was there was that we included the quality of life aspect of it that we talked about yesterday in reference to the homelessness stuff.
So just to be clear, is there language in the revision that will enable residents to receive a discount on or an exemption from the additional tax?
Yes.
That's still in there?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other? Mr. Clerk, to the roll.
Madam President, we have a request from the administration to advance and adopt on first.
Roll call.
This will be 6FD.
Amador,
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes.
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 Yes, indeed.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman.
I just want to congratulate the administration on their advocacy for this particular piece of legislation. I want to thank Senator Ruiz, who took leadership at the state level, and also some of the corporate partners, including Doug Serini and others from
Absolutely.
Edison Properties. This is going to enable the city to access resources to improve quality of life around the arena sector, deal with some of the issues that we're having on the city side as it relates to homelessness, services, and also the funding that's needed to construct, the pedestrian walkway, which I think is going to definitely be an important part of the redevelopment of the downtown area. So congratulations to the mayor, to the BA and his team, and also to the state legislators, specifically Senator Ruiz, who took the lead on this initiative.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
9A is an ordinance designating Invest Newark as the land bank entity for the city of Newark. We also have a request from the administration to advance and adopt on first.
Roll call.
Madam President,
Yes.
I said enough about this yesterday, but I know there was a suggestion that was offered by Councilwoman MacGyver related to the budget, and I'm not sure if the administration took that suggestion into consideration as far as scaling the budget to the traditional contract amount, which is the $3 million, and then review the additional funding needed based on the number of properties that would be transferred over to the land bank?
I'm under the impression we had an extensive and productive conversation yesterday, but certainly, Councilman, if you are
Just asking a
requesting,
question,
that's
because
sure.
that was a very good suggestion. That was
an excellent,
put on the record, and I'm not sure.
No.
Sure if it was considered.
Yeah, council members, yes. Eric Pennington, Business Administrator. We have taken the suggestion by Councilwoman McIver and the questions from Councilman Ramos into account, and will incorporate that moving forward.
Thank you.
Has the budget been scaled back to the $3 million, or is it still $5 million, the agreement?
I don't think you're characterizing accurately what Councilwoman McIver asked for. We do intend to scale back the budget. It'll be based on several factors. You still have to ramp up the infrastructure of Invest Newark, but it'll be the number of properties and the period of time for this year that Invest Newark will have to operate the land bank. It's going to be a truncated period of time, and so the budget for this year should be similarly truncated to reflect that, and it will do so.
Mr. Clerk, roll call.
We're moving it to first reading.
To advance and adopt.
Advance and adopt on first.
Yes.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
Gallo,
Yes.
McIver,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Quintana,
Abstain.
Ramos,
Abstain.
President Trump.
Yes.
Madam President, the two ordinances that were adopted on first reading today will be advertised in accordance with law, and a public hearing will be held at the public council meeting of March 18th, beginning at 6:30 p.m. here in the council chamber. Council as a whole to accept the raffle license.
Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James,
Yes.
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 Do you wish to do the hearing of citizens before motions?
Yes, indeed.
Welcome to the Newark Municipal Council's hearing of citizens. Only those individuals who have signed up by the closing deadline will be permitted to speak this afternoon. When your name is called, please step to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. You will see a small timing device on the podium which will begin counting down your time when you begin speaking. You will be given 5 minutes to speak. When you reach the 4-minute mark, the yellow light will illuminate, indicating that you have 1 minute remaining for summation. When you reach your 5th minute, the red light will illuminate, and there will be an audible sound indicating that your time has expired. Please look forward, speak into the microphone. We are recording these proceedings, and if you turn away, we may miss part of your statement. Please address questions to the chair and not to individual council members. The first speaker for this afternoon is George Tillman, Sr.
Appearing.
Good afternoon. George Tillman, 165 Newton Street, local business owner, Construction Compliance, LLC. I'm not going to speak this afternoon. I'm working with the clerk's office. The deputy clerk is working to get me all the information that I requested. Until I get that information, I'm not going to speak on the affirmative action. However, there was a gentleman, he just left here. His name is Yusef Ali. And he's a Newark resident. He's with Local 3 laborers, and right now he's not working. And so that is one of the reasons why we come to this microphone and advocate about this affirmative action and these tax abatements. Because somewhere in this city, there's a tax abated project right now going on that does not have a Newark resident who's a laborer, who's a minority, and is not in compliance. And I can guarantee you that they have laborers on that site right now, And there's an issue when we have Newark residents sitting and not working, where these projects are supposed to be having, one, compliant to our affirmative action, which is 50%, but if they don't even do the due diligence on the 50%, there should be Newark residents, so there's no reason why that young man should be sitting in this room today not working on a construction site as a Newark resident and a local 3 member and not working. So whatever needs to be done, I mean, he had to go, he had an appointment, I told him to stick around, but that is totally unacceptable. Because if you go downstairs right now to the affirmative action office, there are sites that are not in compliance with our residency laws and our local unions, and he should not be working. And there's laborers, there's carpenters, there's tradesmen all over the city right now sitting at home not working, while these developers, Councilman Amador, that get these tax abatement, and this is where the reservation comes in. And so this is why we want to make sure that they're in compliance so that does not happen. Thank you.
Mr. Tillman, 2 things to the clerk. Last meeting, Mr. Tillman spoke, and he requested some valuable, important information. Did you receive it yet?
I received the email that she's working on it. She's been corresponding with me, and I should be receiving that information by the 20th.
Secondly, could we extract Mr. Tillman's comments from this afternoon and forward it to the administration?
Yes.
We need to, every now and then, we need to be reminded.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Not a problem.
Opal R. Wright.
Appearing. She just never came.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Opal R. Wright. I reside Vanderpool Street in Newark. I'm here on the concerns of the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009. It is my understanding that I would like to discuss the purpose of the law, because I understand that they're thinking of stopping or ceasing any assistance from SOTO, which is a program for the homeless. And I do want to say that if you were to comply with the purpose of this law, or really comply with the law, it states that the purpose is to stabilize state and local government budgets in order to minimize and avoid reductions in essential services, in order to minimize and avoid reduction in essential services, I should be, okay? So my concern is that I don't know exactly what transaction or what is going on between people who are either from New York or in the city of Newark. I think on October 28th, there was a big billboard or the Teletron outside had a picture of a Caucasian female who I don't know what reason you gave her that honor to have her face posted, but I don't want to, I mean, she looks like one of those who were just at the celebration. They had a big parade for the Olympics, who had won the soccer and gotten a key from the mayor of that city. So we don't need the interaction between mayors over faces that that's appearing before them. We do need SODO, however. Also speak on the Dodd-Frank Wall Street reform. Though we have, Wall Street is dealing with pretty much at a standstill. I think that as you hear this law, you will find that there's always a moment or something they should be thinking of implementing. They should be at work at all times if they're to read this law. I would like to state that the Board of Governors is the supervisor over the, is the supervisor of the corporation, which means the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. The actions of the Board of Governors is to facilitate and supervise, to facilitate the supervision of the financial activities. The financial activities of the companies that they must make a determination on whether or not they have whether or not they are a threat to the U.S. financial stability. I also have the financial instruments, which should be mentioned. Their terms and conditions are publicly available, and the roles of one or more counterparties are assignable without the consent of any of the other counterparties, including common stock of a publicly traded company, government bonds, or exchange trade futures and options contracts. I would also would like to
Thank you, Ms.
mention,
Wright.
yes, that I'll have to return with some of the or more floor implementations at
Thank you very
Wall
much.
Street. Thank you.
Next speaker, Mr. Clerk.
Richard Ariza.
Appearing.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Richard Ariza. I reside at 380 Mount Prospect Avenue. As many of you know, we had initiated a correspondence with the city that was replied to back in December by Mr. Scott of the engineering department, and it began a process where we had a rather large inspection of our building on the 11th of December, which resulted in over 120 violations being written by code enforcement. After that happened, they returned in late January, did another inspection, and this process has continued to go forward. With the help of Councilman Ramos' staff, a meeting took place that involved the Rent Control Office, Code Enforcement, Engineering, our councilman's staff, and so on, and this process has continued. We go back to court on the 12th. It's 3 months since the initial inspection, and since the violations said that they were being given 3 days, 10 days, so on and so forth, not one fine has yet to be levied against our landlords. But we must thank the city for its intervention in our dealings with the landlord, because it has resulted in that they have changed all the light fixtures on every landing in every floor in both buildings. They've changed all the lights in the stairwells. They have begun work in a number of the apartments, but because it's more than 120 violations, there are many, many things more to do. But still, so we'll go back to court. We have been in touch with the prosecutor's office and have turned over files with diagrams of the buildings, calling out a couple of the issues which we think are most important and which we think should be of interest to the council. The landlord has rejected from the very start that these are two buildings, each of which has over 105 apartments. And so we have one security guard who sits in a parking lot in front of the buildings. They have refused to comply with what is the city's security requirements, that we have our own guards. Those violations have been written up. It's 3 months. The landlord has no intention of changing that. We're also required to have our own supers, resident supers in each building with Black Seal certification so that they can fix the boilers. The building 402 has been without a resident super for over a year. There are 3 staff people, 1 super, 1 porter, and 1 handyman that cover the 2 buildings. Management says that's adequate, and that's what they're going forth with. That, too, is a violation of the housing code. So from what we hear of the staff in the building, at this point, we don't know, but when they go to court again, what we think is going to happen is that our landlord is going to come in with a whole lot of repairs that we are grateful for, and we are thankful for the city for their help in securing all of this, but we think that there are going to be some challenges to the city ordinances. And we're doing all we can to provide the prosecutor with all the evidence to make clear that that's exactly what the landlord is doing, violating the city laws consciously. And then, hopefully we will get the court to agree with us and start levying fines. But the council should be aware that their ordinances may end up being challenged and debated in court. So that's how this process is going forth, and we wanted to thank the council and keep them aware of how this is unfolding. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilman Ramos.
I want to thank Richard and Fidalia, who was actually at that meeting. I attended. I couldn't stay the whole time, but we did have representation there from code enforcement, from rent control, and I think on behalf of the city, the Department of Engineering, Code Enforcement, I think they did go out aggressively inspect. But Richard's comments really highlight something that we've been talking about here a lot at the council level, which is we need to get a better understanding of what happens once a violation is issued, and that particular case is then adjudicated in municipal court. And my staff has actually been to court twice during the proposed 2 hearings that were supposed to be held on this matter, and the matters are adjudicated, and sometimes we're not aware as to what the outcomes are of these violations. And I would ask, the BA, Corp Counsel, and perhaps the folks who work at the municipal court level to maybe pull together and identify some of the frustrations and issues that residents and members up here face when we're trying to address some of the issues and concerns. And maybe they can map out a better tracking mechanism so that when we relay a particular issue or concern, I know for a fact that Tommy and his folks will be responsive and doing the inspection. How do we become aware of what the outcome of that inspection or investigation is? And how can the courts be more efficient in giving us that feedback? Because I think Richard brings up another good point, is that, at issue at that hearing is going to be whether or not our, let's say, for example, our security ordinance is enforceable in court. And that was a piece of legislation. The amendment was sponsored by Councilwoman MacGyver. I seconded it, and it impacts a lot of large apartment buildings throughout the city. And if the courts do not reinforce the law that we pass, then we have bigger issues that will be not only relevant to 380 and 402 Mount Prospect, but could impact large apartment buildings all over the city. So, I would ask the BA, maybe through your chair, Councilwoman, you can appoint, an ad hoc committee that would be consisted of a few members of the council, members of the administration, so that we can look at how to make this process a little bit better and more efficient.
So, before you take your seat, Mr. Ariza, I wasn't always a homeowner. I lived in an apartment building many years ago, but when the landlord began to neglect the building and there were challenges, we went on a rent strike. Do they do that anymore?
We did it
I mean, we
7
had,
years ago.
and we only had to do it for 1 month.
Well, in the 22 years I've been there, we've had 6 landlords.
Oh, you've had
The
6.
experience doesn't necessarily teach the next one. You know, every time we've had confrontations, as you know, the fight that we had around the attempts to get big rent increases and hardship applications and all of that, the result was they sold the building. So it's like we're starting from scratch.
I see. Thank you. Next speaker, Mr. Clerk.
Colleen M. Fields.
Not appearing.
Dion McCutcheon.
Appearing.
I can jump around. I'm not serious yet. Dion McCutcheon, Newark Matters. Defending the aged, disabled, homeless, poor and defenseless. I wanted to talk directly to the mayor at this point because, you know, this is just a forum. This is just a medium for me to speak to the city of Newark. I want to talk directly to the mayor. I think you made an excellent job, Mayor Baraka, if I got that right, for appointing Miss Ladd, which is a joke that I have, an inside joke, Miss Ladd, as the economic developer, and I think that was an excellent choice. And Kareem Adim, I got a chance to speak to him one-on-one, and he seems to be very, I shouldn't even say this, on my level, but they both seem to be on my level, and she has the poise when she comes to the mic, and any type of question, she just handles herself, in my opinion, very poised and very on point, and if she doesn't have the answer, she always comes back and say, hey, I'll bring it back to you. I just want to say Mayor Baraka, if I got that right, because I keep getting confused with Obama, Barack Obama. Excellent choices that you made in appointing them. Now, I'm going to get here to the issue of evictions. I have figured out how to eliminate people from being evicted in the city of Newark. I just went through one, the hardest one to defeat. Without a lawyer, the boy did it. Without a lawyer. I know how to eliminate evictions in the city of Newark, which of course will eliminate homelessness. Now, Mayor, I'm talking to the mayor directly. If you want to speak to me about the plan that I have to eliminate evictions in the city of Newark, come talk to me. But, you know, I went online, I see all these deputy directors making $120,000 a year and all this $196,000 a year. But do they have the plan to eliminate evictions, to eliminate homelessness? I do. As I mentioned to all of you, and you know very directly, North Ward Councilman, I was homeless for 2 years, remember? I got off of homelessness. I'm living very securely, and know how to prevent myself from getting homeless again. So if anybody want to talk to me about eliminating evictions and eliminating homelessness, come talk to the kid. I'm the person that you're supposed to talk to. But I guess everybody, you know now. But anyway, let me get back to this. With regard to the eviction process, right? The dumb chick, I'm gonna tell you her name. Her name is Linda Hall. She's not even from Newark. Oh, the superintendent, his name is Robert Bell, somebody from Camden. They come to Newark, and they think they running the joint. You ain't running nothing here, bro. You ain't running nothing here. You ain't from Newark. And I hope they're watching this, because I told them to watch me. Now, if you say something, let me stay focused. In any event, I have the plan to eliminate evictions in the city of Newark. No one will ever be evicted in the city of Newark, which eliminate homelessness. Well, it would stop the process of someone being homeless. And Norfolk Councilman, we're going to speak. I'm going to talk. I'll give you 5 minutes later this March, sorry. I'm going to give you 5 minutes about what's going on at 18 Rector Street. Now, you know what? Handle that. Listen, all I got to say is listen, I figured it out, how to eliminate evictions in the city of Newark. Now, if Newark don't want it, voters bond, I'm going to go to Camden, I'm going to go to Trenton, and I'm going to give it to their mayors. I already figured out how to get rid of guns on the street. I'm going to go to Chicago. I'm going to say, hey, man, you want to get rid of the guns on your street? Come talk to me, because I figured it out.
What is it?
Pay me. Pull out your wallet. I was going to give it to you, do it for free, but until she started talking crazy to me. I'm out. Deion McCutcheon, Newark Matters, defending the aged, disabled, homeless, and poorless.
Thank you, Mr. McCutcheon. Next speaker, Mr. Clerk.
I'm going to give it to Newark for free.
Lisa Parker.
Appearing.
If you want to eliminate homelessness, come see me.
My turn now. Lisa Parker, resident in Newark. Let me first address the community engagement for the concerns and issues that impact the residents. I'm referring to the Central Ward Council person and everybody up there that's at large. The county has broken ground on MLK and South Orange Avenue because they intend to expand the courthouse. They approved that budget or an extension of it, of the monies for it, last week. I went there representing the people in the community to talk about the negative impact the residents have regarding rodents, dirt, debris, gridlock on the corridors. And my question is, where's the consideration for the people that live there? And why isn't anyone from the county and the municipality talking to one another? So you're adding density on that corridor on South Orange Avenue and MLK. In addition, we are already gridlocked and landlocked in our community, because on any given day on South Orange Avenue, Howard Street, Richmond Street, 13th Avenue, in the mornings, in the evening, you can't get out of the block. So we're adding density to the environment. Why isn't anyone planning in advance to look at the traffic patterns, looking at the density, looking at the environment, and how it's negatively impacting the residents? The proposal on South Orange Avenue for 108 unit, the density, the variances, the height, no community engagement in a thoughtful way. And why I say that is because the residents shouldn't look at the lot across the street and not have been notified 200 feet away about a meeting that's going to take place on March 5th that's preliminary and final at the Board of Adjustments. I know how this works. I've been coming down here long enough. We're gridlocked.
We can't get out of our block. You're adding density where there's no parking, no policing, no green space for the carbon emissions that's going on at the 900-car parking deck on West Market, excuse me, Louis and Anebo. Where are the traffic studies? Where is the planning to analyze all of this? On Boone Street, you got a property, the old property that belonged, the plumbing building, to Reverend Jefferson. That has been cited by the EPA as a brownfield because it has radon in it. We understand that the building no longer belongs to the church, or maybe it does, who knows? But the point being, what remediation plan do you have for whatever goes on there? The people that invested in this community from 30 years ago, while some people on the dais were still in school, we invested in the community. And while we appreciate new development, it should be in a thoughtful way, not after they put their renderings forward and been in talks with somebody since last year, which is the Economic and Development. We know the goal is for the mayor to propose and for your body to oppose, to represent the interests of the people in the community. The problem citizens are faced with is the quid pro quo going on with all of these developments, the corruption and how these properties are being acquired, and the deals made behind the scene. Lastly, I've been elected by my community. I've been a champion for my community. I think it is disrespectful when the commentary that comes from this dais is that you're being disrespected when the people and the citizens are being disrespected with no responses, no engagement, and no answers. That used to be the common practice here. And I have one more thing. When is Passaic Valley coming to do a presentation about why our bills are so high?
Thank you. Next speaker, Mr. Clerk.
Jay Arena.
Good afternoon, Jay Arena, Jobs and Equal Rights for All campaign. Now, recently, this body, the Newark City Council, got up in arms because the de Blasio administration in New York, an arm basically of real estate, was providing housing vouchers for low-income folks, and I guess some were coming to Newark, and that cut against the development agenda that you all have to bring upper income folks. And so you guys got all up in arms, the mayor. But what struck me was how you got all worked up about poor people coming over with housing vouchers to put in homes, but you have no problem. You've been virtually silent when Trump, his ICE and BORTAC thugs kidnap, terrorize immigrant workers in New York City and drag them here to your ICE concentration camp, and from all around the country. So I just don't understand this contradiction. You have a problem with people being put in homes, but you have no problem making money off of terrorizing families and bringing them to your buddy Joe D. Concentration camp. Now, we do have the council president did speak out about a year ago that this needs to close, but we were also promised a public hearing on this burning public issue, and we followed up a number of times. You have a very competent staff, but we've never really been able to nail down this public hearing that we'd like to have. So I wanted to follow up with the president on that. Hopefully you could speak to that. And then, of course, we have the good Councilman Augusto Amador, where this ICE concentration camp is housed in the East Ward. Now, in his recent campaign for a city council, he attacked his opponent, the former police official, a tall, kind of goofy guy, Anthony Campos, and he accused him, this is off of his Facebook page that Mr. Campos welcomed the head of the New Jersey KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, to Newark. He accused him. And I don't doubt that this happened. We know our police forces in this city and around the country are filled with fascist forces, friends of fascists. They support Dukes, the Mussolinis, the Salazars, the Trumps. And we have the example here where the Dominic Saldita, a former high-level official in this Newark Police Department, according to Rebecca Panico, some very good reporting here, ordered two Newark, they're interchangeable, Newark cops, John Rodriguez and Rafael Ramos, to surreptitiously, with plain clothes, go in and arrest an immigrant from a Luso-speaking country from Brazil, Andrea Florentino. They, using a pretext, they busted into her home, assaulted her, called her the B word, said, quote, "I love Trump, you can thank Trump," and then they handed her over to the ICE thugs. So we hear the councilman attacking Campos for welcoming the KKK, but we got these stormtroopers, fascist stormtroopers, breaking into immigrant homes, terrorizing people in clear violation of this bogus sanctuary city that you come. I don't know why Trump has a problem with you. You host one of the biggest concentration camps. I thought he'd give you a medal. So I'm really dumbfounded by the utter silence coming from the good councilman who puts up a big monument to honor immigrants. I don't expect anything from those directly on the Joe D. payroll, but you know, from the good cosmopolitan councilman. You speak many different languages, but you can't seem to utter one single word about your good friend Deportation Joe's ICE concentration camp that is terrorizing immigrants here in this city and around New York City and around the country. So I'm still dumbfounded about the you could not even utter a word that it exists. It's right in your, you can smell it, right? We marched. We had a big march through your district. Cheers from the people walking on Ferry Street in our call to demand the closure of the ICE concentration camp. So thank you for your time. I'd like to hear from the council president and maybe a word from our esteemed city councilman.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Arena. Mr. Clerk?
Madam President, that concludes the list of speakers for this afternoon.
Response?
The next hearing of citizens will take place at the public council meeting of Wednesday, March the 18th, here in the council chambers beginning at 6:30 p.m. I have no pre-printed motions. Motions of the council?
Councilman Ramos.
I have no motions today.
Councilman Quintana.
Madam President, just the licenses, in terms of licenses, again, to the administration. There's a gentleman who paid a license for a jewelry store. He's been waiting like for 1 year or so. At the last meeting, I indicated that someone downstairs said to them that it's up to the council. So we need to know what that department is doing, to the business administrator, of telling someone that they have to wait. And these people are trying to comply because if they don't have the license, they're not able to be insured as a jewelry store. So we're losing revenue. And it's just not right. I mean, the person, April's up, all licenses are up now, and this person has waited a year. It's not fair. So again, for the persons in that department, in licensing, to say it's the city council, they should put themselves, that they're the ones that are being the structure. I mean, they're really being rude to these folks. So again, we need to look at the whole licensing across, not just gold and jewelry and others, even with stores and et cetera. We need to look at this whole thing because we're losing revenue and it takes a year or so for someone to get a license. We got to work with the folks. And people want to work with us, but they're not given an opportunity. So that's the motion I have. The other thing is to the business administrator, The signs on Lafayette, there's no parking. What we have to do is indicate on the no parking at any time. Because again, this past week it was just horrible. All the trucks that were here for the event at the arena couldn't get through. And with the last council meeting we were here, we couldn't get out of this area. It took me like 15, 20 minutes to get out because of trucks. No traffic comes down through Lafayette. So what we have to do is, there's no parking. Now what we have to do is cite the ordinance and say no trucks will be towed at your expense. Because they can't just come to Newark and just keep putting these trucks there. And they would not be allowed to do this at Madison Square Garden in New York City. They would get towed. And there's no need because it's just blocking two sides of Lafayette, on this side, on the other side. And it's only one lane coming up and one lane going down, up and down. And it's made for two lanes to get the traffic out of the city. When the arena was built, that was the proposal. And the original proposal was that Lafayette will remain always clear so that the traffic could go on 21 and exit out to 21, whether it be north or south. So this is a problem.
Second.
Thank you. A roll call.
Amador?
Yes.
Gonzalez absent, James?
Yes.
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 Yes, Councilman Osborne.
No motions.
Councilwoman McIver.
Thank you, Council President. Two meeting announcements. We will be hosting a town hall meeting regarding Newark Parking Authority on Thursday, March 12th at 6:00 p.m. at 744 Broad Street. We welcome all residents to come out to talk about issues and concerns regarding Newark Parking Authority, specifically the downtown district. We have been getting numerous complaints regarding Newark Parking Authority and some issues, and so we want to host a meeting to talk about those issues and address those issues. I'm welcoming all at-large council people to come out as well to that meeting to hear from residents. In addition, with the new tax that we just implemented, if possible, Mr. BA, if we can get a write-up in terms of how it's beneficial to residents, I think that would be that would be beneficial to residents to know that, as well as for the council, just a one-sheeter of how that special tax or additional tax is going to benefit Newarkers. Mr. BA, you got that? Okay, so I'll say it again. The new special tax that we move forward today, if we can get a one-page write-up about how that's beneficial to residents, that would be helpful for that town hall meeting that we're going to be having as well with Newark Parking Authority, how residents are benefiting from that piece of legislation we put through today. Secondly, we'll be having a DPW town hall on March 17th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. for Central Ward residents. We're asking for residents to come out and take part of that conversation. It's going to be hosted at Camden Street Elementary School, located at 281 Camden Street. So once again, calling all residents to come out to those. Those are two Central Ward, very important Central Ward town hall meetings that we'll be having. Lastly, I want to just echo some of the comments that Councilman Ramos made in regards to code enforcement and the courts and so forth. And I know we've been having a lot of conversation around the courts and fines and so forth. But just this morning, we spent a lot of time in our tax abatement committee meeting talking about those who are in multiple violations, those who just have no respect to residents here in the city, no respect to City Hall, no respect to our laws. And to be quite frankly, I am so aggravated with that conversation and the point that we have to keep talking about how do we make landlords and owners responsible to the people they're collecting rent from into our city. And so I know that Councilman Ramos had hosted before a meeting where we invited the courts to come out to talk about it, but really it's just my patience, and I'm sure other council people's patience is running very short on this situation. Just this morning, we even talked about some people that have been, some owners and developers who have been totally just disregard of us as a city who have tax abatements. That's a problem. So we're going to give people a break to be disrespectful to residents and disrespectful to the city? No, we're not doing that. And so we have, under Councilman James' leadership as the chair of the abatement committee, have already started to put together a list to summon some of those people, those owners and the management companies to the tax abatement committee to talk about those things. But once again, those are just people who have abatements. There's some people out here who own property, who treat residents like crap every day, who have multiple violations, who don't have abatements, but still there's a breakdown when it gets to court, when it gets to the fines. And to keep on having to talk about this up here with the administration, I mean, it's crazy. Like, why can we not address the fact that these people are treating people like that, and we have to deal with on a daily basis of complaints, and then you have to track down the court date, track down what happened. It's just really crazy. It takes up a lot of time, and to be putting up with that is ridiculous. And so I am really hoping that we can pull together a conversation with the courts, code enforcement, all of the directors and managers to try to see what are we going to do to really address these issues, because right now it's not working. It's not working. And code enforcement, they have been extremely helpful. I give kudos to Manager Tommy McDonald and all of his staff, because literally we run them every day, multiple times a day. I know I do in the Central Ward. I could barely make it up a street without stopping to take a picture of people who are in violations, keeping their properties dirty, trash messed up. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. But we have to do something and address to either change the processes and procedures or do a better job in lining up what that looks like for code enforcement as well as the courts, so we better understand the process. But to residents, it's like we're not doing anything. In some cases, they call us, we send people, the code enforcement goes out, they write up their tickets, whatever. After that, no one knows anything. No changes have been made, the things haven't been straightened out for the residents, and at the end of the day, for Councilwoman's point, we did work with the Office of Tenant Services, Kabira, I believe her name is, I can't think of her last name, to put together a one-pager for residents on how they go about a rent strike, because that is where we're at this point, like just trying to give residents as much as they can to combat against these owners and landlords who just literally disrespect them every day, even when they're paying their rent. It is really bad, and so we put together a one-pager of that, and I'll share with other council people, but we've been handing that out to people, you know, basically promoting the rent strike. I'm saying that because some of the things people are dealing with, it is truly ridiculous. The conditions they're living in, it is really bad. And so hopefully we can do that through your chair, Council President. We can really talk about it and come up with some solutions, not just come here and give a presentation about what we know and what's happening, but really walk away with some teeth to some of this stuff so that we can, you know, penalize people, these owners and landlords who are doing this. I want to commend Councilman James for putting up with me and the whole entire tax abatement this morning, just to continue to talk about those things, and our business administrator was present, but it is a real issue and we can't keep pushing it to the side. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes, Councilman McCallum.
Okay. Tonight, the Newark People's Assembly will be hosting a Cleaner Newark meeting, and that'll be this evening at 6 o'clock, from 6 to 8, at Speedway Elementary School in the cafeteria, and that's tonight. Also tonight, the Fairmount Heights Crime Reduction Meeting, hosted by the Fairmount Heights Association, will take place at the Urban League tonight at 508 Central Avenue. And that'll start at 5:30, end at 6:45, and it'll be at the second floor conference room. That's at 508 Central Avenue, Essex County Urban League. That's all I have.
Second.
Roll call.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent James.
Yes.
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 Quintana. Ramos.
Yes.
Yes, Councilman James.
Okay, first and foremost, again, I want to pay respects to Joanne Williams and her family. I want to announce that her wake will be at Clearview Baptist Church, 314 Hobson Street on Friday from 5 to 9. And her funeral services will be Saturday at 8 a.m., again, at Clearview Baptist Church, 314 Hobson Street. I'd like to thank Director Thomas, Khalif Thomas from the DPW Department for hosting a town hall meeting, having all of his directors and sub-department heads out to discuss everything, sanitation, recycling. That was done on Monday night at George Washington Carver School. Upcoming events, I have 2 town hall meetings for Districts 48 and 49. That's going to be at the Trek Center, newly renamed Tahir Whitehead Trek Center. Tahir is from Newark and plays for the Raiders, formerly Oakland Raiders, now Las Vegas Raiders. That would be Tuesday, March 17th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., 55 Ludlow Street, for Districts 49 and 48. I also have a town hall meeting on March 31st from 6 to 8 at 83 Elizabeth Avenue. That's Fellowship Missionary Baptist Church. That will be for Districts 3 and 47. And every month, I will also have my monthly meeting. That's going to be March 21st, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., 400 Hawthorne Avenue. All are welcome. Thank you.
Roll call.
Osborne, I'm sorry. Amador.
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent. James.
Yes.
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 Yes, Councilman Amador. No motions. Mine is more of a concern that I have. Most of the community, people in the community know that I host what's called open hours on Monday. I decided to do that because when I would make appointments during the week at a given time in the afternoon, so often I had to cancel because an emergency occurred. And so I began this practice. It's been about 4 or 5 years now. The issue that has surfaced more lately than in the past, and it's called customer service. I was in ShopRite the other day, Councilwoman, and there was a sign that said ShopRite has the best customer service. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. The people who work for the city of Newark need to practice good customer service. I cannot tell you, since I have returned from my travels, how many people have come in and complained about rudeness, disrespect from people who work in this building. I remind people when I happen to be in the presence of someone who is being disrespectful, I say to them, don't ever forget that it's the residents who pay our salary. Actually, we work for them. It's not the other way around. I do plan to have a conversation with Mayor Raz Baraka, who is an advocate, a champion for customer service here in City Hall. There should never be a complaint when a resident comes in, even if it's difficult. I'm going to say that again, even if it's difficult. There is a way to handle every situation. We want our city to be known as one that respects its residents. So I know, council members, we do our absolute best on the third floor. I can't speak for the rest of them, but I certainly hope that this will be a message that will resonate with everyone who gets their paycheck from the city of Newark. You don't pay it. I'm sorry, every employee, you don't pay it. The residents pay our salary. Don't ever forget it. That's it.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent. James.
Yes.
McCallum.
Yes.
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 Council of the whole to
Mr.
adjourn.
Arena, don't leave.
Amador.
Yes.
Gonzalez, absent. James.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Thank you, everybody. Mr. Arena, please don't leave.